8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj, read by Soundi Thavam. The President requests the relevant Parliament authorities to follow parliamentary standing orders when appointing chairmen for select committees and advisory councils. A special provincial health forum was held with the main objective to provide highest level quality service to the public. Tear gas and water cannons fired at the IUSF protest. The highest ever income of $13.1 billion recorded last year of export income. The Education Minister says the government to recruit 39,000 teachers soon. The PSC to probe Express Pearl New Diamond disasters. Sri Lanka eyes FTA with Thailand by March 2024 as growth in focus. The Maldives to help Sri Lanka's fishing industry. In news overseas, Pope Francis to undergo intestinal surgery at Rome Hospital under general anesthesia. And in sports, Sri Lanka gear up for World Cup qualifiers with series win over Afghanistan. President Ranil Wickremesinghe requests the relevant Parliament authorities to follow parliamentary standing orders when appointing chairmen for select committees and advisory councils. The President stressed that an entity or organisation with digital technology should be set up when creating database of state institutions. The President made these comments at a meeting with ruling party members and opposition members at Parliament Committee Room No. 1. The computerization on state institutions will be carried out by private entities. In future, all main activities and transactions will be done only with digitalized institutions. The agreement between the government and the IMF should be approved in the Parliament. According to the standing orders, the chairmanship of COPF should be given to the opposition. Accordingly, an opposition was appointed to that post. Now the new chairman should work according to the standing orders of the Parliament. That is one of the conditions of the IMF agreement. Sri Lanka and Thailand could sign a free trade agreement FTA by March 2024, a top official of the Indian Ocean nation told Reuters on Wednesday, as it attempts to rebuild its crisis-stricken economy. The two nations restarted deal negotiations in January, months after a severe financial crisis engulfed Sri Lanka as its foreign exchange reserves fell to a record low. Quote, both sides are enthusiastic and there is a strong political will, unquote, Sri Lanka's chief FTA negotiator, KJ Veerasinghe, told Reuters. Quote, there will be several more rounds of talks, but I am confident we can conclude the agreement for signature by March 2024, unquote. A Thai delegation is expected to visit Colombo from June 26th to 28th for the next round of talks covering goods, customs cooperation, investment, dispute settlement and services, he added. Education Minister Dr. Susil Premajayant yesterday said that there has been a huge shortage of teachers due to the increase in teacher retirements last December, and the government is working to recruit 39,000 teachers to fill the shortage of teachers. The Minister of Education said this in reply to a question raised by opposition leader Sajith Premadasa in Parliament. Commenting further, the Minister said that 7,500 teachers from National Colleges of Education will be recruited on June 16th. The Minister said that the measures will be taken to recruit 26,000 trainees who are currently working in the government service after subjecting them to an examination. Court applications were called to recruit 26,000 graduates at the national and provincial levels. It is now before court. Underserved graduates have also applied for this exam. The exam was to be held on Saturday. It was banned on Thursday. We will submit the matter to the Supreme Court through the Attorney General, unquote, he said. The approval to recruit 6,000 teachers for mathematics, science, technology and language subjects will be obtained within 2 weeks. National schools and provincial schools will be given permission for that. If the legal proceedings are completed, we can soon recruit 26,000 teachers, the Minister said. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Speaker Mahinda Abebardhan announced the appointment of a special parliamentary select committee headed by Minister Dr. Ramesh Pathirana to look into the Express Pearl and New Diamond marine disasters. The members of the committee are MPs GL Piris, Diana Gamage, Rauf Hakim, Vijitha Herath, Suren Raghavan, Sarath Veerasekara, Niroshan Pereira, Ajith Manamperuma, Tushara Indunil, Nimal Lanza, Akila Ellavala, Madhura Vidanage, Nalaka Kottegoda and Kavinda Javadana. Fisheries Minister Douglas Devananda and the Fisheries and Agriculture Minister of Maldives, Hussein Rashid Hassan, explored possibilities of using fishing methods of the Maldives to maximize the benefits that Sri Lankan fishermen are getting from the sea around Sri Lanka. The Maldivian Minister of Fisheries and Agriculture met the Sri Lanka's Fisheries Minister during his visit to Sri Lanka and had discussions at the Fisheries Ministry on June 5th. Sri Lanka recorded the highest export income of $13.1 billion last year, Industries Minister Ramesh Patirana said. He said great progress can be seen in the industrial sector of this country through the restriction of imports. The minister said this when the Ministerial Consultative Committee on Industries met yesterday in Parliament under his chairmanship. The minister also instructed the officials to expedite the activities of providing credit facilities through the intervention of the Ministry of Industry in order to avoid the difficulties faced by the small and medium-scale industrialists. The police fired tear gas and water cannons to disperse protesting university students near the Sri Javadapura University at Vijayarama Junction in Nugegoda a short while ago. The protest march had been organized by the Inter-University Students' Federation IUSF, based on several demands, including the revoking of the suspensions imposed on several university student activists. Earlier today, the Saratha Road stretch of road from Vijayarama Junction to the Sri Javadapura University had been cordoned off by the police due to the protest march by the IUSF. That concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
A special provincial health forum was held yesterday. This was organized by the Health Ministry. The main objective was to provide the highest level quality service to the public. The hospitals, health service centres and other medical centres which come under the purview of the central government, hospitals and pharmaceutical centres which come under the purview of provincial administration are expected to provide this high-quality service. The representatives of these entities were present at this meeting. Separate meetings were also held in this regard in each province, with the participation of provincial governors, chief secretaries, divisional secretaries and zone directors. Many suggestions and creative presentations were put forward during this meeting and came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, there has been a significant increase in the dengue cases reported within the last couple of months. Dr. Ananda Vijay Vikrama says that there is a risk of a dengue epidemic with the coming monsoon. He also mentioned that 60 to 70 patients come to the IDH hospital for treatment every day and that the number is growing rapidly. Therefore, he requests the general public to be alert on this matter and keep the home front clean. There could be a collective effort to identify the mosquito breeding places and destroy them without delay, and that came to you in Watchlight. Moving on to a bulletin of world news making headlines tonight. Pope Francis to undergo intestinal surgery at Rome Hospital under general anesthesia. Residents flee in southern Ukraine as floodwaters crest from destroyed dam. Canada wildfires, tens of millions under air quality warnings as fires burn. Pope Francis is going to hospital Wednesday for abdominal surgery to treat an intestinal blockage 2 years after he had 33 centimeters of his colon removed because of an inflammation and narrowing of the large intestine. The Vatican said Pope Francis, 86, would be put under general anesthesia and will be hospitalized at Rome's Gemelli Hospital for several days. The Pope was undergoing what the Vatican said was a laparotomy and abdominal wall plastic surgery with prosthesis to treat a recurrent, painful and worsening constriction of the intestine. A laparotomy is open abdominal surgery. It can help a surgeon both diagnose and treat issues. The statement said Pope Francis is suffering from a blocked laparocell, which is a hernia that formed over a previous scar. Floodwaters in southern Ukraine were expected to crest on Wednesday, with tens of thousands of civilians fleeing in peril from the destruction of a vast dam that both sides called an act of wartime sabotage. Residents waded through flooded streets carrying children on their shoulders, dogs in their arms and belongings in plastic bags, while rescuers used rubber boats to search areas where the waters reached above head height. Tens of millions of people in North America have woken up to dangerous air quality levels as intense wildfires burn across Canada. Smoke blanketed large areas of Ontario and Quebec, while an orange haze hung over much of the northeastern U.S. through Tuesday and into Wednesday. Some cities, including Toronto and New York, briefly had the worst air quality in the world overnight. Much of the smoke is coming from Quebec, where 160 fires are burning. And back to the headlines of the world news. Pope Francis to undergo intestinal surgery at Rome Hospital under general anesthesia. Residents flee in southern Ukraine as floodwaters crest from destroyed dam. Canada wildfires, tens of millions under air quality warnings as fires burn. With that, we conclude this bulletin of world news.
Development News is brought to you by
Vacancies for women from Deshakti Lanka for housemaids in Kuwait, Oman and Saudi Arabia for ages 23 to 58 years. Contact number 037 7500 500.
Air China will recommence their air service between Colombo and Chengdu from July 3rd. The frequency would be 3 flights per week, namely Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays. Air China is offering a special all-inclusive economy class return fare to Beijing, Shanghai, Canton, Kunming and 60-plus other Chinese cities via Chengdu and also to London and South Korea. That came to you in Development News.
Vacancies for women from Deshakti Lanka for housekeepers, home cooks, caretakers and home nurses in Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia and Singapore for ages 23 to 57 years. Salaries starting from 156,000 rupees. Interviews with foreign agents are now on. Come whether you have a passport or not. Branches, Colombo, Kurunagala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 037 500 500.
And moving on to sports news, it's cricket. The series may have started with an ominous feeling 6-wicket defeat, but Sri Lanka bounced back to complete a 2-1 series win, beating Afghanistan by 9 wickets in Hambantota. Sri Lanka's top 3 batsmen made the chase look as easy as the target suggested it should be, needing just 16 overs to score the 117 runs required for victory and handing Afghanistan their biggest ODI defeat in terms of balls remaining. Pathum Nissanka gave the hosts a quick start with 51 off 34 deliveries, striking 2 sixers to go with 8 boundaries, as Sri Lanka reached 84 for no loss in 10 overs. Nissanka fell off the first delivery of the 11th over, trapped leg before wicket to Gulbuddin Naib, but there was no further hiccups in the chase. Dimuth Karunaratne, who scored his 8th ODI half-century, finished on 52 not out, with Kusal Mendis unbeaten on 11. The ease for the Sri Lankan batsmen was thanks to the efforts of their bowlers, who skittled the Afghanistanis out for 116, as fast bowlers Dushmanta Chamira and Lahiru Kumara made early inroads before spinners Wanindu Hasranga and Mahish Tikshana cleaned up the tail. That's sports news, and we'll take a look at business news next.
Go ekathiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna as wahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
UB Finance Company Limited, a premier licensed finance company in Sri Lanka, has been assigned a first-time national long-term rating of BB RWN by Fitch Ratings Lanka Limited. UB Finance has been a significant player in the financial services space since its acquisition in 2011 by Union Bank of Colombo plc, one of Sri Lanka's most stable and well-capitalized banks, together with its strategic investment partner Showcap Limited, a US-based social impact fund. UB Finance is among the licensed finance companies that have the highest capitalization ratios on the island. That came to you in Business News. Economic News up next.
Business News, Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
On to economic news, the Colombo Port City Economic Commission announced a significant milestone in its mission to establish the Colombo Port City Special Economic Zone as a globally competitive business environment. In line with the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Act, the Commission entered into an agreement with International ADR Centre, fulfilling the statutory requirement of establishing an independent international commercial dispute resolution centre within the area of authority. And that's economic news.
Weather report.
The Met Department says that showers or thundershows will occur at times in the western and Sabragama provinces and in the Gaul and Martara districts. Fairly heavy showers above 75 millimeters are likely at some places in the Sabragama province and in the Gaul, Martara and Kalutara districts. Several spells of showers will occur in the northwestern province. Showers or thundershows will occur at several places in the Uva and central provinces and in the Ampara and Batticlare districts during the evening or night. Strong winds about 40 to 45 kilometers per hour can be expected at times in the northern and north-central provinces and in the Hambantota, Puttalam and Trincomalee districts. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. And to conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The President requests the relevant Parliament authorities to follow parliamentary standing orders when appointing chairmen for select committees and advisory councils. A special provincial health forum was held with the main objective to provide highest level quality service to the public. Tear gas and water cannons fired at the IUSF protest. Highest export income of $13.1 billion recorded last year. The Education Minister says the government to recruit 39,000 teachers soon. The PSC to probe Express Pearl New Diamond disasters. Sri Lanka eyes FTA with Thailand by March 2024 as growth in focus. The Maldives to help the Sri Lankan fishing industry. Pope Francis to undergo intestinal surgery at Rome Hospital under general anesthesia. And Sri Lanka gear up for World Cup qualifiers with series win over Afghanistan. With that, we conclude tonight's news broadcast.